Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Talk by Daylight. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking to you guys about the upcoming anime. It's pretty damn popular so far, and it might be up there with One Piece, Naruto, and Bleach one day. You know, the big three, maybe. We'll see. But I'm going to be talking to you guys about My Hero, and more specifically, I'm going to be talking about the fights that went on in My Hero Academia. Now, I don't want you guys to get me wrong let me just say this before I start off this video, because I don't want you guys to be in the video, oh, blah, 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 blah. So let me just start off about this. I think My Hero is a great anime. I love it. I used to read it. I read it before I used to read it before the anime was even out. I read the manga, and I thought it was really, really good. And it is really, really good because today is Monday. The new episode just came out 2 days ago on Saturday. So yeah, with All Might versus All for One, and it was great. But my problem with My Hero Academia is that I feel that the fights in My Hero Academia are very underwhelming. If you guys understand what I'm saying, they're not really satisfying. And the reason I say that the fights aren't really satisfying is because I don't know, it's just something about the My Hero show. Maybe it's because they trying to soften up the action in these shows for the younger generations that's starting to get into anime. Because I know when I was growing up, you had anime that, for instance, an example, you had Dragon Ball Z. The original Dragon Ball Z, when Raditz and Goku get into a fight, boom, Special Beam Cannon, Raditz, Goku, and Piccolo, Special Beam Cannon, you see a big hole between Goku and Raditz. In the Dragon Ball Kai version, all you see is a purple bruise, and that was it. And Raditz's armor was cracked. So let's get into this My Hero. Now, the first fight that I want to talk about that I felt was really, really underwhelming was the Stain fight. And like I said, guys, don't get me wrong. I'm not bashing My Hero, and I'm not saying My Hero isn't a good anime, because I like My Hero. I love it, actually. But I just feel that the fights are underwhelming. And in particular, I'm going to start off with the first fight, the first major fight with Stain, the pro hero killer. Now, I'm going to say that part again. Stain, the hero killer. Okay? Make sure you guys heard me. Stain, the hero killer. Now, the reason why I think this fight is underwhelming, and don't get me wrong, yes, it was a good fight, but I don't understand, and this is the underwhelming part I'm trying to get at. I don't understand how someone with the title of hero killer, who is known for killing pro heroes, he's known for that. The title of killing pro heroes, but yet you have a hard time trying to beat 3 academy students, who literally just enrolled in the Hero Academy, and you lose to them at that. Because at first, Stain, he was, he really was beating them at first. But then, I guess because you can say that they teamed up and used strategy against him, that's how they won. But I call bullshit on that, because Stain, again, like I said, he's known as a pro hero killer. How is it that this guy who goes around killing pro heroes ends up losing to 3 rookies? And yes, Lydia, Todoroki, Shoto, and Midoriya, Izuna, or Deku, yes, those 3 are rookies. Despite Todoroki having an OP quirk, you know, icy hot, you know, flame and ice, you know, and Lydia, who's like really fast, and Deku, all for one, you know, despite him having those abilities, I still feel that Stain should have beat them. And then one of the pro heroes, like Endeavor, because he was already there, Endeavor was there, but Endeavor, he was busy fighting the nobodies, you know, he's fighting nobodies, you know, people who he can beat in his sleep. So I feel that in the fight with Stain, you know, versus Deku, Todoroki, and Lydia, I think that they should have pretty much been on the verge of losing. Then Endeavor shows up and Endeavor beats Stain instead of having them do like this little combination attack and then having Deku punch Stain and then pretty much winning. And I don't know, I just find that hard to believe, and I think that was pretty underwhelming, because for like a final villain fight, you know, or like a final fight over arc, you know, you would think that Stain, or one of the major fights of the arc, you would think that it'd take another pro hero to take out the pro hero killer, you know, but no, it doesn't take a pro hero to take out a pro hero killer. It takes 3 academy students, you know. So that just doesn't make sense to me, you know, and I just feel that that was really underwhelming. Like, that fight could have been much better. Maybe Endeavor could have showed up, because he eventually showed up after the fight was over. You know, he eventually showed up. And then what makes it worse is when the police show up to arrest Stain, the kids, you know, they were so scared of his kill intent that they stood in place and was shaking. And it's just like, so they were that scared of him when he got arrested, but when they were fighting him, it's like, you know, oh, we're trying to save Lydia, you know, I get it, but, you know, you want to fight him, even though you're scared, you still want to fight him to save your friend. But that just didn't make sense to me. Like, you guys were scared, terrified of this man, you know, but I just don't get the fight. Now, the next fight that I want to talk about, it happened in the Battle Trials arc. You know, in the Battle Trials arc was when the students teamed up to go against the pro hero teachers. Now, there's only one specific fight that I want to talk about in this arc, you know, the Battle Trial arc. And this fight was pretty underwhelming to me. And it was the fight that everybody was looking forward to. And that fight was All Might versus Deku and Bakugo, Kachan, whatever you want to call him. You know, Bakugo. Deku Bakugo versus All Might. Now, don't get me wrong, the other fights in the Battle Trial arc versus the teachers are really good. You know, especially Minot and his little grape, you know, his little grape quirk where he stuck the teacher, you know, he just stuck her to the wall or the rock and she couldn't move. That was pretty awesome. But like I said, with this All Might versus Deku and Bakugo, I felt that that fight could have been so much better. And again, like I said, I don't want you guys to get the wrong idea and think that I don't like My Hero or I'm trying to bash it. I'm really not. I'm not trying to bash it. I'm just saying that these fights are a little underwhelming. And in this fight, you know, the whole fight, it was literally Deku being scared of All Might. Now, I understand you are in the face of the #1 hero, you know, so the strongest guy around. I get it. You know, you'll be scared to fight him. But I wouldn't be scared to the point where I will be running away from him. You know, Deku's, oh yeah, you know, come on Bakugo, we have to run away from All Might. We can't fight All Might head on. And honestly, if I was Bakugo, you know, I would have reacted the same way. Like, what do you mean we can't fight him head on? Come on, Deku, stop being scary. Let's go. You know, let's go. Let's go fight him. Why are we running from him? Let's fight him. And and Deku, oh no, we can't fight him head on. No, Bakugo, we have to come up with a strategy. Don't get me wrong. I understand, Deku was one of those people that, he always has to come up with a strategy and he doesn't want to rush head in first on the opponent. But the thing is, you're at a school, you're at your school for one, and it's not like All Might would have done any serious damage to you because you guys are his students, so he knows like, okay, I'm not gonna go all out against you. I mean, I get it, you're supposed to treat it like a real fight. So, but you also have to remember, it was like a practice fight. So I would have loved to have seen Deku just charge at All Might. Deku and Bakugo just like teaming up and just have Deku charge at All Might and fight him. Quirk versus Quirk, the person who previously had it, All Might, versus the person who possesses it now, which would be Deku. And then just have Bakugo for support. Because, I mean, honestly, how cool would that have been to actually see Deku, charging head on at All Might and having those two fight? Now, of course, we already know that Deku probably would not have had any chance of winning. Even with the team up with Bakugo, he wouldn't have had any chance of winning. Either one of them would have. But I think that Deku at least trying to go and fight All Might, at least him attempting to go and fight him, would have been much better than literally him and Bakugo running for about 2 or 3 episodes. Then after 2 or 3 episodes, now you want to charge in and fight All Might. And then after that, it was like, oh, well, we just going to distract him. And then one of us can run towards the finish line. Because you either have to beat him, incapacitate him, or go past him and go where the finish line at, so you can win. Run out the fighting zone and you win. But honestly, I really think that fight would have been much better if they honestly had just showed Deku and Bakugo just charging in for All Might and just coming for All Might. Because even All Might told them, like, I know this is like a test and all to test you guys' ability, but I'm not going to hold back. And All Might didn't hold back because remember, at the end of the fight, Deku was in the hospital because All Might literally fell and dropped right on Deku, and I think they said he almost broke like every bone in Deku's body, and then a girl with the healing quirk had to come and heal Deku. So it was just like, see, All Might was not playing any games. So honestly, if I was Deku, if I was in that situation, I would have just charged straight in and tried to fight All Might. I would have just tried to fight him, regardless of who he was. I'm not going to back down from you. I don't care if you are the #1 hero. I don't care who you are and how strong you are. I would have loved to see Deku fight. Now, the next fight that I'm going to be talking about was another fight that a lot of people was looking forward to. And this was in the sports festival arc. And this was not the last fight, but it was Deku versus Todoroki in the sports festival fight. Now in this fight, it was a pretty good fight because you see, Todoroki, and you see kind of his backstory and how Endeavor treated him and his mom, and he refused to use his flame side, So in this fight, you have Deku literally. As they were fighting, you just have Deku like, oh, you can't let that hold you back, Todoroki. You have to use your flame side. You have to use all your power and this and this and this. And it was just like, okay, so are you guys going to talk or are you guys going to fight? And this was one of those major fights where people were actually looking forward to. And this fight was pretty underwhelming as well because honestly, the fight wasn't exciting as what you think it would be. When you initially see it, you will be like, oh man, this fight is going to be really, really, really good. But as the fight goes on, you know, Deku finally encourages Todoroki to use his fire side after like 3 episodes of talking. Okay, I know I'm over exaggerating. It wasn't 3 episodes. But after all this talking, he finally encouraged him to use his, fire side. And then Deku, he charges towards Todoroki. And then Todoroki puts up his hand and fires a blast back at him. And it's this really, really huge explosive blast, and not to mention you got Endeavor, being all pissy about him. And after all of this, Todoroki's fire blast, it literally blasts Deku out of the ring into a wall, and Deku collapses. And it's just like, now see, instead of doing all this talking, you could have spent that time talking, punching Todoroki in his face. I mean, don't get me wrong, I understand you want to fight Todoroki at his fullest, but you have to realize this is a fight, and you have to win, And I just felt it to be just really underwhelming because, I mean, I just really think that fight could have been so much better. Like, maybe instead of having Deku talk to Bakugo for like forever, maybe have Bakugo realize on his own that he's not his dad, and just because his dad, what he did to his mom, like he's not gonna grow up to be him, and then have him use his fire side instead of wasting some episodes with him talking. But it was still a good fight, but I just feel it was underwhelming. And then the next fight in the finals was Bakugo versus Kachan. In this fight, it was pretty underwhelming because I really wanted to see this fight. But in this fight, you just have Todoroki in his head the whole fight, because he was like, oh man, I use my fire power, what am I doing? And honestly, if I was Bakugo, I would have been mad as well too, because it's like, I really wanted to fight you, and now I can't even fight you at your best because you're too busy thinking about what happened last fight. So I get it, story development, but I think it could have been better. Now the next fight I want to talk about is the forest fight with Deku and Muscular. Now, I know when this Deku and Muscular fight came, everybody went wild. I was on YouTube, I was watching pretty much everybody reviews about Deku versus Muscular and how cool the fight was, but I'm going to be honest with you guys. In my opinion, that Deku versus Muscular fight was good, but the only part of that fight that was good was the very ending, when Muscular was punching Deku into the ground, and Deku stood up and pushed him back and did his final smash. Punched Muscular right in his face and did his Detroito Smasher! And he did that. Now that was very good. I love that part. But as far as the fight in general, I just think it was pretty underwhelming. Because for one, Deku just literally, the first punch that was thrown, Muscular breaks Deku's arm. And I'm like, are you guys serious? Like, so now Deku again has his arms broken yet again. And it's getting kind of annoying now. Like, Deku's getting his arm broke. But, I mean, one punch. And don't get me wrong. I know you guys are going to be like, well, of course his arm got broken. It was Muscular. That's his quirk. He's really strong. Okay, but Deku has all for one. And I know you guys are going to be like, well, he doesn't know how to control it. But guess what? He had it for a while, and he was training with it. So his arm should not have broke from that. I mean, honestly, I don't think it did. But it did. And then, like, just the fight of just Deku just losing to Muscular, because Muscular is like, oh, my quirk is just the upgraded version of your strength. And it's just like, Muscular, do you not realize he has All Might's power? And it's like, Deku, do you not realize you have All Might's power? Like, you can literally just, like, do some damage to this Muscular guy. Because I'm pretty sure All for One is leagues above Muscular's quirk, his little muscle enhancement. As we clearly saw when Deku punched him and knocked him out. But I just think that was underwhelming. I think the best part of that was the ending. And then the last fight I want to talk to you guys about which was just released, which was super underwhelming to me, was the fight between All Might and All For One. Now I know if you guys made it to the end of this video and you hear me say this, you are going to bash me. What do you mean that the fight between All Might and All For One, or yeah, All For One was trash? Well, I didn't say it was trash. I just think it was really underwhelming because throughout the whole series, they build up All For One like he was this big top-notch villain. The fight only lasted in real time maybe like 5 minutes because most of the fight, the last episode, it was the kids trying to escape because they were trapped there. You had All Might trying to run to go save Bakugo. I'm coming, young Bakugo. I'm coming, young Bakugo. And then you had All For One stretching out his little fingernails and just like throwing him like, no, you're not. And then you had All Might. I'm coming, Bakugo. All For One. No, you're not. So then once they finally escaped, then they talked some more. Pretty much it was a lot of talking. It was a lot of talking and not a lot of fighting. And the ending was good. United States smash, that was good. But my thing is, I don't think that's how All For One should have lost, because All For One is built up to be this big tough villain, and if he's the biggest baddest villain around, how did he lose to All Might, who wasn't even in his fully transformed state? The only part of All Might's body that was transformed was his arm. So you telling me All For One, the big villain who's pretty much stronger than everybody, who literally took half of All Might's stomach back in the day, gets knocked out by one arm, and the rest of his body is pretty much deflated. His one arm knocks him out. And remind you, during this whole fight, All For One didn't really take significant damage like All Might did. Like, All For One didn't really have any damage done to him whatsoever. Now all of a sudden, All Might punches him with United States Smash, and he ends up losing. How? How does the biggest, baddest villain that we know of thus far, because they talked him up like he was the biggest and the baddest, but then he loses to an All Might who's not even in his transformed form, his state. The only thing that was transformed on All Might was his arm, and he loses. I just think that fight could have been a lot better. Because in other animes, when they have big fights, like Naruto versus Sasuke, those last. And they have a lot of action in it. Or Goku versus Frieza, or Cell versus Gohan, or any anime, Akame ga Kill, you got S-Death. Like, those fights against major opponents lasted a long time, and they were really good. I'm not saying that this fight wasn't good, I'm just saying it was underwhelming. But that wraps up this video. I want you guys to comment now in the comment section. Do you think that My Hero Academia fights are underwhelming, or do you think they're perfectly fine? And I know that manga is, of course, ahead, and I know the manga is going to get better. So maybe it's because, it's in its first stages, so the fights are not going to be good. But let me know in the comment section down below about what you guys think, and I will see you guys in the next Talk by Daylight video. Thanks for watching.